Synthetic biology and chemical synthesis. Synthetic biology and chemical synthesis are two rapidly evolving fields that have the potential to revolutionize the way we live our lives. Synthetic biology involves the design and construction of new biological systems, while chemical synthesis involves the creation of new molecules using chemical reactions. Both fields hold enormous promise for creating new materials, developing new medicines, and solving some of the world's most pressing problems. One of the major driving forces behind synthetic biology is the desire to create new biological systems that can perform specific functions. For example, scientists have been working on creating new bacteria that can break down plastics, which could help solve the problem of plastic pollution. Other researchers are working on creating plants that can produce drugs or biofuels, or bacteria that can produce high-value chemicals. One of the key developments in synthetic biology has been the ability to synthesize DNA. This has opened up new possibilities for creating custom-designed biological systems. By assembling small DNA fragments, scientists can create synthetic genes that can be inserted into living cells. This has led to the development of new genetic engineering tools that allow scientists to precisely control gene expression and protein production in living cells. Another important aspect of synthetic biology is the creation of synthetic cells. Researchers have been working on creating cells from scratch, using synthetic components. These synthetic cells could be used to create new forms of life, or as biofactories to produce high-value chemicals or drugs. Chemical synthesis, on the other hand, has been around for much longer than synthetic biology. Chemical synthesis involves the creation of new molecules by combining simpler molecules using chemical reactions. This has led to the development of a wide range of chemicals and materials that are used in a variety of industries, from pharmaceuticals to plastics to electronics. One of the key challenges in chemical synthesis is creating new molecules that are difficult or impossible to make using traditional chemical methods. This has led to the development of new methods for chemical synthesis, including the use of enzymes, catalysts, and other tools. One important area of research in chemical synthesis is the development of new drugs. Many drugs are based on natural compounds found in plants or other organisms. However, synthesizing these compounds can be challenging, and often requires large quantities of the starting material. Chemical synthesis provides a way to create these compounds in the lab, which can make them more accessible for use as drugs. Another important area of research in chemical synthesis is the development of new materials. This includes everything from plastics to metals to ceramics. By creating new materials, researchers can develop new technologies that can solve a wide range of problems. For example, new materials could be used to create more efficient solar cells, or to create lightweight, high-strength materials for use in the aerospace industry. While synthetic biology and chemical synthesis are distinct fields, they share many similarities. Both fields involve the creation of new systems and the manipulation of molecules. Both fields also have the potential to create significant impacts on society, from developing new medicines to creating new materials for use in industry. One of the challenges with both synthetic biology and chemical synthesis is the potential for unintended consequences. Creating new biological systems or molecules can have unintended effects, especially if those systems or molecules are released into the environment. For example, introducing synthetic bacteria into the environment could have unintended consequences if the bacteria were to spread beyond their intended range. To address these concerns, researchers in both fields are working to better understand the potential risks and benefits of their work. This involves careful study of the potential impacts of new biological systems or molecules, as well as the development of new methods for controlling these systems. In recent years, there has been increasing interest in using synthetic biology and chemical synthesis to address environmental problems. For example, researchers are exploring ways to use synthetic biology to create bacteria that can remove pollutants from the environment, such as heavy metals or oil spills. Chemical synthesis can also be used to create new materials that are more environmentally friendly than traditional materials, such as biodegradable plastics or materials made from renewable sources. Another area of research where synthetic biology and chemical synthesis intersect is in the development of new diagnostic tools and therapies for diseases. Together, these two fields have the potential to revolutionize the way we diagnose and treat diseases. For example, synthetic biology has already been used to create bioart, which involves creating living art installations using biological materials. Chemical synthesis could also be used to create new materials for art and design, such as self-assembling materials that can be programmed to create specific shapes and structures. While synthetic biology and chemical synthesis have enormous potential for creating new systems and materials, they also raise ethical questions and concerns. For example, the creation of new life forms raises questions about what kinds of organisms we should be creating and what kinds of risks they pose to the environment and to human health. The development of new drugs and materials also raises questions about who will benefit from these innovations and who will be left behind. To address these ethical concerns, it is important for researchers in these fields to engage in thoughtful dialogue with stakeholders, including scientists, policymakers, and members of the public. Furthermore, the integration of artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML, techniques into synthetic biology and chemical synthesis is a promising avenue for future research. AI and ML can be used to analyze vast amounts of data and to make predictions about how new molecules or biological systems will behave. This can help researchers to design new molecules and biological systems that are more efficient and effective. For example, a recent study published in Nature Communications demonstrated the use of AI and ML to design new enzymes. Enzymes are proteins that catalyze chemical reactions and are widely used in industrial processes, such as the production of biofuels and pharmaceuticals. The researchers in this study used AI and ML to identify new enzymes that could be used to break down plant material into biofuels. By rapidly screening through millions of potential enzymes, the researchers were able to identify several promising candidates that were then tested in the lab. Another promising area of research is the use of AI and ML to predict the toxicity of new molecules. Toxicity testing is a critical part of drug discovery and chemical development, but traditional toxicity testing can be time-consuming and expensive. Despite the promising potential of AI and ML in synthetic biology and chemical synthesis, there are also challenges to be addressed. One major challenge is the need for large amounts of high-quality data. AI and ML algorithms rely on large datasets to make accurate predictions, but in many cases, data on new molecules and biological systems is limited. Another challenge is the need for interpretability and transparency. AI and ML algorithms can make complex predictions, but it can be difficult to understand how those predictions are generated. This can be a barrier to using AI and ML in highly regulated fields, such as drug development, where clear explanations of how predictions were generated are necessary. Synthetic biology and chemical synthesis are two fields that have the potential to impact many areas of society in the years to come. The advances in these fields are driven by the desire to create new systems and improve existing ones, with a focus on creating new solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems. One area in which synthetic biology and chemical synthesis could have a significant impact is in the development of new medicines. Researchers are exploring ways to use synthetic biology to create custom-designed proteins and other molecules that can target specific disease processes. Chemical synthesis is also being used to create new drugs, such as small molecules that can inhibit the growth of cancer cells or block the activity of specific enzymes involved in disease processes.